Welcome back to Bonanza Disc Golf and to another Patreon-sponsored Bag It or Bin It. That was on way too tight. And today we're gonna be taking a look at kind of what some people would say are the best of both worlds. Very fast drivers and understable discs. The main comparison is gonna be between the Dynamic Discs Lucid Sheriff and the Innova Champion Shrike. These are both 13 speeds, 5 glide, 6 glide, -1 each, 2 fade. So the turn of -1, I think, is because of these plastics. These can also be, I think, found in -2 if you have the Fusion or Star. And because of that, there are a couple other discs that I want to try out as well, because apparently I want to throw out my arm today, because they were not how I expected them to be. And those would be the Lone Star Discs Bayonet, 13.5 -22. You would think it's flippier than these ones, as well as the Discmania Active Premium Majesty. Okay, I wanted to let that other guy finish real fast because honestly, that other guy did not play very well with these discs. Didn't really give him a good name. Ultimately, this is just gonna be about the Shrike versus Sheriff. Like, those are the main two discs that we need to talk about. I did throw them already in that other video, but I'm at a new course here and there's some pretty open holes. So I wanna play 4 holes here with you guys to add on to this video. We'll share some of the ones from the other video first and then these ones. We'll see how we end up doing, but this way I wanna actually give you a fair shake of how these discs are flying. Because I think there's only like 2 holes from that other video that are even worth keeping. So that's what we'll do, and then we'll play 4 new ones so that I'm not giving you guys a terrible video. As always with these Patreon-sponsored Bag It or Bin Its, or all my Bag It or Bin Its in general, we're gonna be playing 5 holes with just these discs, pitting them against one another. And my patron who requested this video was Dustin. So if I can't beat par with any of these, they're going to him. So one other use for these understable distance drivers is actually kind of spike hyzer-y shots, because if you throw them correctly, they'll kind of flip up. And so when they come back down, even if you throw them in a hyzer, they flip up and they come back down on hyzer, they're not gonna skip as hard as an overstable disc would, which is kind of the Bayonet, which I'm kind of worried about. So we're gonna actually play this 316-foot straight island hole. We're gonna call it an island, so you have to be on the right side of the path. I did play this in a different distance driver video, but I really like practicing this type of shot and just seeing how they react thrown on a hard hyzer, see if they flip up and come back, because if they go into the water, it's done, it's all over. Not a lot of flip up and kind of dumps fast. Not a lot of push left, which is what you'd expect from an understable distance driver. We're gonna go Bayonet next. I did want to throw that one a little flatter because that one just does not seem to have the juice as the other ones. Okay, really good shot, really, really good shot. You see, even thrown hard and relatively flat nose down, it didn't want to get up much. The Sheriff, I think, is gonna be different. Sheriff and Shrike, I think, are gonna be very different, where they're gonna actually flip up and then come back. Oh no! Get all the way back. I might be able to get that disc. Okay, why are flight numbers such a lie? Okay, Shrike, I'm gonna keep it closer to the shore. Actually, just more hyzer and higher. Hits it, hits it, hits it, hits it, hits it out of bounds. Ah, that's just so much more touchy than I thought you'd have to be. I cannot believe that Sheriff flipped that much. That's a really nice disc, like very good for beginners. Like that's gonna get some distance. I'm excited to actually throw these all in a distance hole next, but I need to save par with both of these. Sheriff, I'm gonna be generous. I'm just gonna call drop zone, basically where the Shrike went out, so I don't have to throw the Sheriff from back here, and we can try to save the par. Since it's an island hole, you gotta have a drop zone. Probably, I don't know the rules, but I'm making the rules as we go. Yeah, the Bayonet's by far the closest. I think I overestimated my hyzer power. Well, I don't know, the Sheriff is past the basket in the water. All right, Sheriff first. Low, oh, so bad. Way too high. I feel like it got close enough, but yeah, let's go. Yeah, let's freaking go. Oh my gosh, Bayonet for the birdie. And now the Majesty to get another birdie on him. I do think the Sheriff is more understable than the Shrike. We'll have to tell over these next 2 holes though. Oh, I'm missing everything right today. Okay, so I'm sure based off that showing, you'll be able to see that these discs are being given away to my patron. I did not play well with them at all, but I still want to get these 4 holes in with you guys and give them a fairer shake as to how they'll throw. So, not gonna recover any of these, but this is more for my dignity and sanity. Gonna be easy because some of these are really short par 4s, especially for these discs. Hole 1 here is a 471-foot par 4 straight down the line. We are going into a headwind, but this is to show just kind of if there is any difference in the flippiness. And if I remember, I didn't think that there was, but we're gonna be throwing them a little bit more consistently here and seeing how we feel. We're gonna go Shrike first. Basically gonna try to aim slight hyzer, nose down straight at the basket. Yeah, that's so flippy, whoa. All right, I'm trying to keep the same height with the Sheriff here. Yep, really good. Very similar releases. My aim point was slightly off. Sheriff seemed to glide a little bit more than the Shrike, which kind of died a little more. We'll see if that carries true, but those releases were very similar, just the aim point was slightly off. And the wind can affect that because it's coming a little bit left to right. So the Sheriff might have had its flight plate exposed slightly more. Definitely both flipped over fast. I think the Sheriff glided a little bit more instead of going straight to the ground though, like the Shrike did. I imagine these are great on like pushing hyzers. Honestly though, I just got reignited with my Pharaoh with my recent bag change. And that thing, I'm loving it. Very flippy, similar flippy, close to my heart. All right, hole 3 here is 411 feet, straight up to the basket. It's our second hole for this part of the video. It is a lot less wind because the wind is basically coming from an open area, pushing that way. There's basically no wind because it's being blocked by all these trees. So I think here, the play is slight hyzer, aimed slightly to the right of the basket, high and nose down, which is not an easy shot. Really got to focus on the mechanics for that one. I think our dummy this time is going to be the Sheriff. One where we might be able to actually get all the way down there. Okay, a little bit of turn. Not as much as I thought. It got pretty far down there. I think it was slightly more nose up than I really wanted it to be. I threw it up instead of through. I am going to try to correct for that with the Shrike just to see if we can get a good shot. Because even though I threw that nose up, it still wanted to flip and turn. These do seem like very comparable discs. They feel slightly different, but they seem like they fly very comparably. Yeah, that's gonna do it. Oh wow, that might be deep of the basket actually. Got that one the right shot shape that you wanna see. So it flipped over and turned because the nose stayed down on that hyzer. That's one of the harder shots, is a nose down high hyzer for me. That's very hard. It's much easier for me to get nose down high and hyzer because I worked on that because my form used to be in hyzer dominant. So I really focused on that. And now that I'm going to be hyzer dominant, I need to focus on nose down hyzer. A little bit more difficult, but that's okay. All right, so I'm actually significantly surprised. This is exactly pin high with the basket, maybe slightly behind the basket. And it was pretty nose up. So I'm going to say, like, especially being more hyzer dominant, if that's your typical throw, even as a beginner or as you're working up your arm speed, these can be like really big bomber discs. I'm gonna include the Pharaoh in that. I was gonna bring one out, but my Pharaoh is very beat in and I didn't want to compare it against new discs because that's not quite fair. This would be a cool little birdie to get here. To right. But it feels good to be throwing around 400 feet again. And a part of me was like, oh no, I have to throw 400 feet with these flippy discs. And then one of you guys commented and helped me to realize that it's not like, oh, I have to use flippy discs. It's that I'm actually throwing the right discs for my form. Since my form has changed a bit, so has the type of discs that help me to get my distance. Easy Shrike birdie. Both of them are about 400 feet, which is really, really solid for me. Yeah, the question is, which of these would be best for a more beginner or for you to just have a more of a bomber disc? The Shrike is a little domier, but I also have a personal story to tell you about the Shrike as well in a second. A little nose up, but you see how it's riding so much to the right? Wow. I think we can actually have a good shot here. Just keep the nose down. So you're going downhill, so the nose down is actually not flat, it's slightly nose down. Yeah, much better, still not enough, still not nose down enough, but closer. Very similar flights, honestly. They seem to slow down a decent bit. Sheriff next, we need this. Gotta really drill this in there. Oh, I was trying to get through those. I had to get it high enough. Oh, come on, just left. So I totally just realized the forehand hole I was going to go to after the tailwind hole was not even quite as far as this one. And I wanted to see, like, are these good bomber forehand discs? Especially as I've been releasing even my forehand slightly more hyzer. We're gonna just throw this because it's less wind and we have 400 feet of open field. I threw a couple forehands 370 today, relatively comfortably, with not as flippy discs. So I think putting them on the slightest amount of hyzer, nose down, trying to throw that shot also difficult with enough height, but we're gonna try both of them again. Shrike first. I do think that the Sheriff fits a little more comfortably in my hand for the forehand. I don't know. They're both pretty comfortable. The Sheriff feels a little more rounded than the Shrike does, and that's on the backhand and the forehand. I do like the Lucid plastic a little bit more than I like the Champion plastic because it feels slightly more gummy, but those are all just personal preference things. We're gonna try. This is a nice forehand. Okay, kind of rode up to flat. A decent bit of hyzer. That's pretty far, but I think a little less hyzer would have been good. I'm gonna try to throw that same shot shape, just a little more left so we can see a more full flight. but the same amount of hyzer. Very similar, wow. That's not up at the basket, is it? That's gotta be short, right? This is the Sheriff, which is 1, 2, like 23 feet. That's like 390 feet of a forehand almost on hyzer. I definitely need to keep utilizing flippier stuff for these forehands as I work on them, but that's massive. That gives me a lot of confidence. I'm glad we did that forehand hole. And it was very similar flight to the Shrike. I just actually aimed it correctly a little bit more left so it would drift back to the right. Shrike was also pretty far, but I mean, it would have just kept going just into the woods further. So let's go do that tailwind hole on the backhand. So far though, these are essentially the same disc. It just matters which one you prefer. I have not been able to find a serious difference between them over what is it now, like 6 or 9 holes that I played with them. And if anything, this could be bias or it could be second throw for most of them, is I found that the Sheriff maybe is slightly farther of a disc and has slightly more controllable stability. Like it will still flip a lot, but it kind of glides on that flip instead of gets down. But that also could totally just be my bias experience from how I've been throwing these discs. So I don't know. All right, here we are. This hole is 486 feet, dead ahead of us, straight down there, slightly downhill, slight tailwind. Call it a par 4, so we're gonna see if we can eagle it with either or both of these guys. I'd imagine the turn is, I wonder if the turn is similar or different, but that's for a different video. Maybe turn versus thrasher at some point. We're gonna go Sheriff first, so there's not as much bias, I guess, and just try to throw as big of a bomb as we can. Keep the nose down, get the height right, try to get it all the way down there. I don't think I have 490 feet in the tank. I think if I get the perfect hold of it, maybe 440. Oh, I'm rethrowing that. Got to keep my knees bent more until that last step so I can clear up and go forward. Whoa. Oh my gosh. That's glidey left. Seems pretty far down there, but I missed my line, I guess. Guess I got to put it even farther left. It was a pretty snappy throw. Yeah, get out of it, get out of it, get out of it, get out of it. Come on, come on. Skip. Oh yeah. That's gonna be far. I don't know how far, but far. One thing that is interesting though is on that flight, it seemed like the Sheriff glided a lot more and didn't come back as fast. So maybe that is the case, is the Sheriff glides a little bit more. There's so many potential inconsistencies. And nobody is gonna review things like a robot. That takes a billion throws and then their body deteriorates and then they can't even review them correctly at that point. So I think I probably well pushed over 400 for both of these. Hopefully. The Shrike might actually have a putt. It seemed like that thing got down there, but it could also be like 80 to 120 feet short. It just says 420, so not bad. Oh, that's so ugly. That was much yank job. Let's see if we can make it from the Shrike. Yeah, this is not bad at all. That's so cool. Let's go. Got it. No! I think you have to skip it with the Sheriff. I think I saw that in the rule book somewhere. Yeah. Oh! I lied. We're gonna play one last hole, which is just to see these guys on a flip up hyzer. See kind of 380 feet-ish. I think it's just under 380 feet. See how much hyzer you gotta put them on and the speed. Just swing out wide, see if we can just park this 18th hole, nice and simple. All right, I was going to send you guys back to the other video after this hole, but I'm not, because I have a very different conclusion. We're just gonna 380 straight ahead, just nice, easy, simple. Hyzer, this angle should stand up, gotta throw it pretty right. There is a tailwind as well, which will help to stable it out. So, pretty simple shot. Sheriff first. A little short. Oh, that's so low. That's kind of slipped out of my hands and it ended up getting really flat. It's gonna be on the tee pad of 1. All right, we're not playing this hole. So, Shrike and Sheriff, I would say very good molds. I don't know if they have a spot in my bag because I think the Pharaoh is kind of the mold that I like for that slot, but having something that is just ridiculously flippy and ridiculously fast, probably really good for rollers, even though I didn't get to put down a lot of those because I'm not very good at them, but I think it's something that can fit in a beginner to a pro's bag. Especially these are typically the more stable plastics. Like if I had one that was in a DX plastic or a burst plastic from Dynamic, might not be able to throw that as well. A premium plastic super flippy 13 speed I think has a place in my bag. And so that's why I have the Faro there. I'd say both of these are definitely Baggett discs, but unfortunately I totally lost my challenge in the other video. So they're going to my patron who requested the Baggett or Bennett. If you want to check out the last Baggett or Bennett or the video that I filmed just before this, which was my 1 year anniversary in disc golf, Baggett or Bennett here, 1 year anniversary there. Appreciate you guys a lot. Okay, love you. Bye.